Sigma Bank, monitoring your total balance and recent activity has never been easier. Transfers are instant and confirmed.
To really understand something truly revolutionary, you can't always start at the beginning. It just doesn't make sense. Sometimes you got to start at the end and work your way backward. So for this one, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to reverse engineer the entire story of Alkoin and its ecosystem, starting from its absolute perfected final form, and then trace it all the way back to the single spark that started it all.
So, I want you to picture this. The year is 2030. The grand experiment? It's over. The system is perfected, and the vision is totally, completely realized. And no, this isn't some sci-fi movie pitch. According to the material we're looking at, this is the achieved, final state of the Alkoin ecosystem. A system so refined, so perfect, it operates in near silence, just a low hum. This is the mysterious endpoint we're starting with. And it just begs the question, right? How in the world did we get here?
Well, this perfected end state, it actually has a name. They call it the scarcity singularity. And that's the point where the system's core economic ideas reach their logical, and let's be honest, pretty radical conclusion.
So what does this future actually look like? Well, for one, the currency, Alkoin, is unbelievably scarce. It's hit its theoretical minimum supply, which puts this constant, relentless upward pressure on its value. The marketplace for assets? It's become the financial backbone for entire economies. And the thing guiding it all is a fully autonomous AI, a large reasoning model they call DeepThink. And get this, it's evolved way beyond just analyzing the market. It has, for all intents and purposes, become the market.
So, okay, that's the what. A perfectly stable, self-running economic machine. But how? How did it get there? What was the engine at its heart, just churning away to create this very specific reality?
Well, the answer is a mechanism that is described as weaponized commerce. And at the very core of this engine was an incredibly powerful process called the Apex Burn Protocol.
Okay, so here's how this wild engine actually worked. It was a simple but absolutely brutal loop. First step, commerce. Someone, anyone, makes a transaction. Second, extraction. The system automatically skims a tiny fee. But here's the key. It's not for profit. It's used as fuel. Fuel for what? For step 3. Ignition. An automated program, a smart contract, immediately takes that fee, goes out and buys Alkoin off the market, and then sends it to a null address, which effectively deletes it from existence. Forever.
And that right there, that tells you everything you need to know about the philosophy. Every single transaction makes all the remaining currency that much more valuable. The system was literally engineered to reward its users by fighting against the dilution of their own wealth. I mean, that is a pretty wild take on customer service, isn't it?
The source material calls it mathematical brutality, and that phrase is perfect. There was no emotion, no committee meetings, no debates. It was just a relentless, automated process. The more people used the ecosystem, the more of its own currency it consumed. Just think about that. It created this incredibly powerful deflationary spiral.
But an engine, right, no matter how powerful it is, it needs a driver. It needs a brain to tell it where to go. So before this whole burn protocol could hit its maximum potential, an intelligence had to be, well, it had to be awakened.
The brain of this whole operation was the Distributed Ledger Technology Hub, or DLT Hub, and it treated all of its different apps not as separate products, but as sensory nodes, like eyes and ears. The remittance app gave it real-time cash flow data. The asset marketplace gave it collateral data. The staking dashboard provided liquidity data. All of this information from all these different places created this complete, live picture of its entire financial universe.
And here is where things get really wild. This absolute ocean of financial data was fed directly into that AI we talked about, the Large Reasoning Model, or LRM. The goal wasn't just to run some analytics reports. The goal was to train an artificial intelligence on the live, beating pulse of the very market it was built to manage.
And the result of all that training? It was transformative. The AI started to evolve. It began personalizing things for users, optimizing their yields, and seeing patterns in the data that no human team ever could. It wasn't just a collection of apps and a hub anymore. As the source so perfectly puts it, it became a collective financial consciousness.
Okay, so we have the engine and we have the brain. But what were they built on? You can't just build something like that on thin air. Peeling back one more layer, we finally find the foundation. And this was maybe the most critical phase of all, where the very architecture of trust was engineered from the ground up.
See, the architects of this system, they looked out at the world and saw what they called dead capital. Trillions and trillions of dollars just locked away, stuck in things like land and buildings. The old financial system was, in their words, like rusted pipes, just too slow, too clunky for the digital age. And they didn't want to just fix the pipes. No, they wanted to build a teleportation device.
And that teleportation device was the RWAT digital marketplace. RWAT stands for Real-World Asset Tokenization, and this platform was the absolute cornerstone of the entire project. Its job was to turn illiquid assets, like a building in Nairobi or a farm in Brazil, into liquid, tradable digital tokens on the blockchain. This was the key. This is what unlocked all the value they needed to fuel that massive engine we talked about.
So let's just recap. An engine that feeds on itself, a self-aware financial brain, and a foundational marketplace designed to replace the entire financial system. I mean, come on, that doesn't just appear out of nowhere, right? So where did a vision so radical, so complete, actually come from?
And here we are. We've made it. We have traced this entire massive system all the way back to its origin, to the source, the single spark of an idea that came before the very first line of code was ever written.
The source material attributes this genesis moment to one individual, the architect, a man named Don Lyon. He looked at the inefficiency and the incredible waste of the old world, but he also saw the immense untapped potential of a new one. And this was his core realization, the one idea that changed everything. The old financial systems weren't just broken and in need of repair, they were obsolete. And that simple but powerful realization led to a critical decision. Don't even try to fix the old world, replace it. And just like that, the mission was set. It was a directive for both creation and for destruction. To build a brand new system where everyone's goals were aligned through fire. It started with a simple, powerful command. Let there be light and let it burn. A fascinating end to our story, which perfectly connects that first spark of creation directly to the engine of scarcity that would one day define its perfection.
Sigma Bank, monitoring your total balance and recent activity has never been easier. Transfers are instant and confirmed.